So this video is going to be quite long. I don't know exactly how long the video will be, but I hope you guys will stay with me all the way until the end. I've gone outside to get some fresh air, and if you guys are wondering where I am right now, so if you can see in the background, there's a tall building over there, and there's a whitish building on the right hand side. So yes, I have returned to my place of birth. Just it's been extremely stressful. It's not about China, mostly crazy family issues. I understand a lot of audience, they say that you shouldn't air your dirty family laundry, right? But it is extremely important to discuss these points, because everything in this world is connected. All the points I'm about to mention, they're all 100% connected to what is happening around the world. Why our society has been progressing backwards, why you have the fall of the nuclear family, why we have so much chaos, crime, why we have so much drama on the streets. So as the recording of this video is the Chinese New Year season, it's supposed to be a time for celebrations, lots of drinking and partying, and people having fun. Not so much for my family. If you guys have been following me for a while, I did mention, yes, this is 100% true. I believe there has been at least 50 divorces in my family combined. It's very unfortunate. So my mom, she's currently in her 7th marriage. She has been divorced 6 times. And my sister, see, things have gotten so out of control, I'm not even sure anymore. I know for sure she has been divorced at least 3 times, possibly 4. So this is maybe her 4th or 5th marriage. This is why, while I was living in Canada, I have completely cut off my dad and my stepmom. So my dad, he's being blocked permanently. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to see him ever again. Too much insane drama. Every time I go to see my dad, he just turns into a bad ape crazy. He just wants to murder me, and so I have completely blocked him. I've completely blocked my stepmom. So the people who are saying that you know, if I knew my family was so crazy, why go back to China, right? Why see my family for a Chinese New Year's? Well, I'm not moving back to China permanently, and by the looks of things, so I'll be in China for I think 2.5 more months. This could be my final visit. It's just too much insane family drama, and it's taking a massive toll, just both mentally and physically on me. It has nothing to do with the country, right? China does have issues, but there are also lots of other things I like about China. My sister, so her 3rd husband, right? Right now this is her 4th and 5th husband. So it's the same guy, I believe. So what happened was they got married, then they got divorced, then they got remarried again. Now I think possibly they got divorced again, then they got remarried again. So this could be my sister's 3rd, 4th, or 5th marriage, but it's all to the same guy. There's a lot of crazy stuff. So lately, I'm only coming back to Jilin City because it's Lunar New Year's, and we've been getting into some massive fights. I'm trying to avoid all of this insane family drama. Sometimes when you're living there, right, it's almost impossible to not get caught up in the family drama. By the way, to people saying that this could be my fault, I'm only back in my hometown just temporarily, just for Chinese New Year celebrations. Then I will be off. I will be going to southern China, and I don't think I will be ever coming back here. So my sister's current husband, so this is you know, her 3rd and also 4th and possibly 5th husband. I actually do think that yes, they did get married, then divorced, then remarried, then divorced again, then remarried again. And so what happened was, during the first divorce, right, I don't understand what is wrong with these Chinese women. I don't understand my sister. So her last breakup was well, before this man, was 8 years ago. Relationship was extremely toxic, extremely abusive. Her ex-boyfriend at the time, he was physically abusive towards her, and the reason why they finally broke up in the end, I was in China during that time as well. So it was exactly 8 years ago, right around the Chinese New Year's. They got into a huge fight, and he actually tried to murder my sister. Yes, after she was discharged from hospital, her neck was completely purple. No, I'm 100% serious. So on top of that, her iPad, her cell phone, and the TV, the computer, the tables, everything, right, in the kitchen, living room, everything was completely trashed. They got into a huge argument. So she wasn't married to that guy. They were only boyfriends and girlfriends. And during this marriage, is pretty much the same. So then I told her 8 years ago, I warned her about all this stuff, and I just don't understand the mindset of these insane Chinese women, and also these Chinese men. These men who are simps are the issue as well. I told my sister, I said, look, you're 34 years old. That was 8 years ago. So she's 42. She's gonna be turning 43 this year. I told her, I said, you've been divorced twice. You had an abortion, miscarriage, you got a daughter, you have so many failed relationships, right? Every single one of them being toxic, and your ex-boyfriend nearly strangled you to death. Look at your neck, it's all purple. I said, please, for the love of God, just stay single. And so that was my Chinese New Year message to her. Obviously, she didn't give a so I left China right after Chinese New Year celebrations. Then she found this new boyfriend. So this soon turned out to be her third, fourth, and fifth husband eventually. I know it sounds all ridiculous, but it's the 100% truth. The reason why I'm recording this video is that over the past couple of days, last night and this morning, we got into a massive argument, and he called me a stupid stuff like that. And I don't know how much more of this I can take. I try to stay away from all the drama, right? So when my sister was engaged to this guy, I don't know, they might have been married. So from what I heard, I asked my mom. So my sister at the time, she was like 7 or even 8 months pregnant. So and this man was extremely abusive towards my sister. I think was both physically and verbally, just calling her stupid bitch. Are you or I'm gonna you? I'll smack the out of you. And so that was so severe. And this is while my sister was 7 or 8 months pregnant. This is with her second kid, so that's her son. He's going to be turning 7 now. So things actually got so bad. So my sister, she actually filed for divorce for the third time when she was 7 or 8 months pregnant. Now this led to a lot of issues, because in China you cannot have a children out of wedlock. The couple has to be in wedlock. So at the time, I believe that when her son was born, he was considered to be a heihu. So heihu, you're going to have a lot of issues, because or else the child, he wouldn't be able to attend the daycare or kindergarten or go to school or get a job in the future. So this is a massive issue. So I think what happened was so my sister, this is her third husband, right? He used this as leverage in order to get my sister to come back to him, because as soon as they got remarried, the child wouldn't be a heihu. I know that Chinese law is very weird to me, because China does not allow children out of wedlock, but at the same time, right, China makes it so easy for couples to get divorced. Now everything is okay if, let's say, as soon as the baby is born, let's say the Chinese woman, she says she's not happy and she takes the baby, she goes to the family court, she said, so I want a divorce, then it's 100% okay. So that part I don't really understand. So I think that was the reason why. So this man, he was extremely abusive, extremely toxic, and he basically used this to threaten my sister. So they got back together for her fourth marriage. Then they were back, I would say, living together for maybe 6 months, 1 year at most. And obviously now at this time, my sister, she has an older daughter, and so she has 2 kids and she can barely take care of them. So she has to constantly call my mom. My mom has been living in a different province, so she has to basically take the train back to take care of my sister's 2 kids. And during this time period, my mom found my sister's third slash fourth slash fifth husband to be extremely toxic and abusive. It's not normal for a person to talk like that. Usually, you know, when you see a man that's screaming like a banshee, like ah, I would say 50 to 60% of his vocabulary, and I'm gonna have to blur out some of these words. It's, you know, things like stupid, shut up, you punk ass, what the do you want, bro, what the yeah, that's 50 to 60% of his vocabulary. And when I first came back, I was absolutely shocked. I found it extremely revolting, because they reminded me of a certain person who I absolutely hate, the person I detested the most in this world. That is my own father. That's why I have completely blocked him off, right? I decided to completely not talk to him. If you watch my 34-minute video, I did mention I was abandoned 3 times, that he has threatened to murder me multiple times, right? And my dad, yeah, 50 to 60% of his vocabulary, it's just like that. It contains extremely vulgar and nasty language, and for absolutely no reason. I'm talking about sometimes, you know, in the middle of a Sunday afternoon, he'll just be sitting there by the chair. He will just start cursing and cursing and cursing, and this goes on for hours. And for some reason, my sister's third slash fourth slash fifth husband, he's the exact same way. And honestly, I detest him on a cellular level. I understand my sister has issues, but just the way he talks, I don't know if he's actually physically abusive to my sister. It's possible. It could be mutually. It could be both ways, right? They could be both physically assaulting each other, but it's just the verbal assaults. And I don't know what the hell is wrong with my sister. The fact that she keeps finding men like this, and she will keep coming back to a guy like this. So yes, I do believe that they actually got divorced one more time. So right after her son, her second child was born, the fighting got so bad, especially from my sister's current husband. He was so abusive. At the time, my mom was also living with them. She was taking care of the two kids. Every single day, he tells my sister, "Oh, you stupid shut up, you fat I'm gonna you stupid just literally every single day." So my mom, one day she snapped. This probably 4 or 5 years ago. She told him to get the out, and they got divorced again. But somehow I don't know what the hell this guy is doing to my sister. I don't know what kind of trick he's using. Maybe he's got something dirty on her. Maybe they have secret like pornography tapes on her, that he's got naked pictures of videos that he threatens that if they don't get back together, he's threatening my sister that he will release these pictures and videos of her. I don't know what's going on. So they're back together once again. So I first met this guy last November, and every single day I just absolutely cannot stand it. He freaks out probably on average, I would say minimum 3 to 4, sometimes 5, even 6 times a week for absolutely no reason. He's extremely toxic, extremely abusive. And if you're wondering why, my people like my sister, so many of my aunts, so many of my cousins, right, people like my mom, why would they get divorced and married again and again and again? I warned all of them. I used to get into major fights with them all the time. I told them, I said, please, for the love of God, just stay single, right? Just find some inner peace. Go do some yoga. Find your inner zen. Do some Pilates, just stay away from men, because every single one of your relationship, every single one of your marriage is like this. Well, so why do this to yourselves? See, this is what you have to understand. Obviously, I mentioned so many times before, so many Western people have heard of this term, 剩女. That is the term for leftover woman in China. So typically, when a Chinese woman turns 30, if she's still not married, she's considered to be 剩女. So obviously, in China, there's a crisis of a shortage of women. So the average Chinese woman has the equivalent to sexual attraction of, let's say, a Chinese male professional athlete or a movie star. So by the time, you turn 30 or 32 or 35 or 38, it doesn't mean you can't find a man. But usually what this means that you will no longer be able to secure yourself a high value man. If you want short, ugly, broke guys, they're everywhere. If you want simps, if you want betas, if you want the people who act like bitches all the time, they're all around. Just like look at what my sister has found. The reason why all of her marriages and relationships have been so abusive is that it was because that her first marriage, that was her best chance, right? She got married at the age of 21. Unfortunately, she chose to cheat on her first husband with her second husband, and that happened many, many years ago. Then she filed for divorce, right? And honestly, that was the best guy she dated, because after she filed for divorce for the first time, everything went straight downhill. Then my sister's second ex-husband, after his 2 divorces, he was forced to commit suicide. Absolutely terrible. And my sister, she's currently being both physically and verbally abused by her 3rd, 4th / I think 5th husband. Once again, I have lost count on how many divorces there are. So yeah, back when my sister was, if this was 20 to 24 years ago, when she was 18 or 20, yes, she absolutely had a chance to secure herself a high value man. But now she has had so many divorces, extremely high body count, so many toxic relationships. She's got 2 kids with 2 different baby daddies. What kind of high value man would approach someone like my sister? So obviously her options have become very, very limited, right? You see, women are born with values. Women have a biological clock. Men have a financial clock. From the moment a man is born, he means absolute jack means nothing. A man has to prove himself in order to actually find a woman to start a family and to procreate. And if you're wondering why some of these Chinese women like my sister or my mom, after they keep on getting divorced, after they've been abused physically and emotionally, why would they choose to enter another relationship or marriage? Well, once again, it comes back to Chinese people's ego. It's about saving their face, because a lot of Chinese people do have this issue. It's the same thing all across China. You've been watching my previous videos, right? I did mention China has roughly 85 million empty apartments, right? If the Chinese government knew that the population is decreasing, they knew that marriage rates are decreasing. They knew the birth rate is decreasing. Why would they build so many new homes? Nobody's going to move into them. You end up wasting billions of dollars. Well, once again, it comes back to a saving face. Let's say if the Chinese government, they're looking at the housing statistics from the United States, they see that America, let's say in 2025, has built 750,000 homes. But let's say if in the same year, if America has built 750,000 homes, if China only built 600,000, China is going to think that, oh my god, we're like America's bitch. Our face has been slapped. Our ego has been cut in half. Now our face is shrunk to like this small. So yeah, this is all across China. It's a massive problem. That's why every single year China keeps building millions of these apartments and nobody's going to move into them. It's a complete waste of money because China's population is decreasing, has peaked. China's birth rate is collapsing. So the property and real estate economic miracle in China, that is 100% over. So it's the same thing why so many of these leftover women in China, they want to look for boyfriends, they want to look for husbands, even though they can no longer secure themselves a high value man. And many of them, they just lower their standards over the years, right? They say, oh, they used to want their guys to be 6 feet, then they will lower it to, let's say, 5'10", then 5'8", then they'll say 5'6" is okay, then 5'4" is okay. They used to want 200,000, then after a couple years, they'll say, oh, 100,000 is okay, then 60,000 is okay, then 40,000 is okay, right? They just keep on lowering their standards over the years until finally at a certain point, let's say maybe when they're 45 or 50, they become a true pristine leftover woman until finally there's nobody left. It's just a complete void. It is like they're drifting into space with no purpose whatsoever. All that remains is a loneliness for all of eternity. So the top reason why so many of these leftover women, right, they will keep throwing themselves back there into the dating market, into the marriage market, just for these losers, right, these simps and betas, these extremely violent, aggressive men, just to be abused by these men. It's because they want to save face. Because let's say if a woman gets divorced when she's 30, right, if she stays single for the rest of her life, all her friends, all her family relatives, all her colleagues are going to be thinking that, oh, so that divorce was her fault. You see what happened, right? She got divorced, what, 5, 10, 15 years ago? She has not dated since. So that must mean that she's a absolutely crazy, insane bitch, and no man ever wants to date her. No man wants to approach her. That's why she's a true, pristine, leftover woman. So a lot of Chinese women, they're really afraid of this. So instead of living a peaceful single life after their breakup or divorce, right, so they will do anything to get themselves a man. They're desperate for these simps, these betas, these ugly, broke, abusive men, just so that they can save their face, just so that whenever they go to work, they can show that, oh, look at my wedding ring, I'm married again. See, so the failures of my previous marriage and my previous relationship, that was all because of my ex-husband. It was all because of my ex-boyfriend, because they were abusing me. I'm 100% normal. See, because I just got myself another man, I got another ring, so that on Friday night when they go meet up with their friends, or every time it's the holidays when they go meet up with family members, they can say that, look, I got myself a man. I am not staying single. It's not because I can't find a man. It's because the previous relationships, it was all my ex's fault. So this whole saving face thing, it's a massive crisis in China. Once again, I do support the movement of men going their own way, because honestly, it is 100 times better to stay alone and live a peaceful life versus living my life and going through all of the insane family drama. And finally, I want to come back to this point to, what happened last night and this morning, why I got into a massive fight, massive argument with my sister's current abusive husband. Well, I've already mentioned so many points, right? This guy is not normal, right? He's constantly harassing and verbally and physically abusing my sister every single day. And it got to the point, right, when my sister was 7 months pregnant, she was taking that massive risk for her son to be born out of wedlock, for her son to become a heihu, to get divorced. And even after they got back together, my mom had seen enough. She forced my sister to get divorced again because the guy was being extremely abusive towards my sister. So basically, she told him to get the out. And yes, if you're wondering, I did mention, right, my sister, she can no longer secure herself a high value man, right? So this guy, by the way, he's a gangster wannabe. Yes, right now he currently has a job. He works in the railway industry, although he hardly ever goes to work. I think he has one of those jobs where if someone buys a train ticket or something, but if, let's say, if they're traveling to a different city for their company, it's a business trip. They need to ask for receipts, and so he just give those people receipts. It's one of those jobs where you barely have to do anything. It can all be done on your cell phone. He goes to his workplace maybe once or twice a month. So he makes, I would say, average salary. By the way, average salary in medium-sized city in China is about 6,000 yuan a month, or roughly 800. Maybe $820 US a month. So, his average salary, but this guy, he's probably, I don't know how much debt he's in. I would say it's probably anywhere between 100,000 to 200,000 US dollars in debt. So he was in jail for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, because I didn't mention he has stab marks, stitch marks all over his body. Once again, right, I'm not 100% sure as to what happened. So, but he was part of the gang, or he was one of their trainees or whatever. And one day they got into a massive fight with a rival gang, and there was a bunch of stabbings. He stabbed a few people. He was locked up. So his parents, this is my sister's 3rd/4th/5th husband, the one that basically called me a got into a huge fight just past couple of days. I have 100% had enough of him. He should have been kept in jail. My sister should have stayed single after her second divorce, but that's just the life I was born into. I try to tell her every single day. So what happened was after they got into a massive stabbing, and he was locked up. So I believe his bail was set at anywhere between 100,000 to 200,000 USD. That is a monumental sum of money. So his parents, right, they had to basically sell all of their belongings, all of their savings. They had to basically borrow money from people. They sold their house, they sold their car, and they used credit cards, line of credit. They did everything in order to bail this guy out of jail. And right after he got out of jail, that's when he started dating my sister. This part I will never ever understand. Why do women keep on finding these men? Like, what is attractive about these men? Look, here's the thing, right? If you're let's say a washed up leftover woman, right, you don't have much hope, you're not very attractive. I'm sorry to be brutally honest, right? You can still find a man, let's say that's a beta, but you don't have to find a career criminal. Why can't you find a guy, let's say, that's 5'4", that's balding, that works at McDonald's, and makes minimum wage, right? As long as this guy is 100% normal, he doesn't have a criminal record, he's not abusive towards you, right? I'm not against these older used up bluffers women dating, but women they keep on finding people like this. Women, they keep on finding these extremely violent, extremely abusive men to marry and procreate with. That I absolutely just cannot understand. So when my sister got married to this guy for the 3rd time, he was anywhere between 100,000 to 200,000 US dollars in debt. And my sister, she currently owns a restaurant. Sometimes I've been helping out, although I'm not going to help out the restaurant anymore after all this insane chaos, right? So all the money my sister has been making from the restaurant, the business has been doing okay. It's not bad. I would say it's above average, right? So she has been helping him to pay off his debt. So the guy, he's only making $800 US a month, right? Which is barely enough for him to sustain himself. Usually every single month, towards the end of the month, by the 26th, 27th, he's completely out of money, and he just goes to my sister to ask for more money. And every time he's not able to pay back the $100,000 to $200,000 that he owes, he just takes money from my sister. So all the money my sister has made from her restaurant in the past 5 years has completely evaporated. It's all gone to him to help him with paying off his debt. I cannot understand modern women at all. It has been driving me absolutely insane. It's extremely irritating to see that. Look, I tell her that, look, you're putting 70, 80 hours a week into your business, right? This money is earned with your blood and sweat and tears, and you're going to use your hard-earned money to basically pay off the bail for your current husband. It doesn't matter whatever he's done in the past, right? He has stabbed, he tried to be a gangster, he's got stab marks everywhere. Just don't date him, don't marry him, don't have a son with him. Basically, after I've been in China for over 3 months now, I have arrived at a breaking point. I just cannot take the insane BS anymore, and this is also a major reason why I'm only staying here temporarily. They can all go stab each other to death, right? They can all FUCK off. I care too much. I really try to save my family, but some people, they just cannot be saved. So yes, I did have an uncle. He was in, I believe, the Guangdong province when he was arrested. He's also a gangster wannabe, and I believe he was actually trying to smuggle drugs into Southeast Asia. I believe it was either Myanmar or Laos, and he was arrested. But he wasn't like the big boss boss guy. He was just a a foot messenger, gangster wannabe, because normally drug trafficking comes with a death sentence in China. So he was locked up for 8 years. I also have another cousin, same thing, gangster wannabe, all kinds of crazy stuff, illegal massage parlors, drug trafficking. But once again, he was not a real gangster. He was a gangster wannabe, or just a stupid that's what you call it, right? So he was also arrested. He was locked up for I don't know how long. I believe he was locked up twice. And so his parents, this will be my mom's younger brother and my mom's younger brother's wife. They had to sell their house. They had to sell their car. They had to, once again, borrow money from people. They had to use the line of credit cards in order to pay the bill to get them out of jail. And yes, my sister, I did mention in a previous video also that she has one friend who has moved to Japan, to Yokohama. I'm 99% positive she's working in Japan as a prostitute. There are certain things, I've been alive for 32 years now. There are certain things after a while, you know exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, her daughter, so she had a daughter with a Japanese man. Yes, he was a member of the Yakuza, but he was not real Yakuza. This is 100% real. He was, how do you call it? He was their accountant. So he was like half a gangster. He was a nerdy gangster wearing glasses, whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, he has disappeared for, I don't know, 6-7 years now. Her daughter is 12. She's recently returned to China. She dropped out of school, but she no longer has Chinese citizenship. She's legally a Japanese citizen. So dual citizenship is not allowed in China. So yeah, it's going to be tons of issues because, as you can imagine, right, her mom is working as a prostitute and her dad is half a gangster. He's disappeared, probably been stabbed to death, some kind of retaliation. I mean, he is involved with the Yakuza after all, and she has been diagnosed while in Japan with a clinical depression, and it's a very, very sad scene. I've seen this girl. She's got a bit of attitude. She can be extremely combative at times, but I don't blame her, right? That's the environment she was brought up in. That's why the nuclear family is so important. So yeah, she's no longer basically to go outside or even go to school or have fun anymore. She's just I would say one of the most depressing person I have ever seen. See all of this family drama. That's why I keep bringing up these stories, because it's extremely important for people to know, right? If 80% of families in our society look like this, then that is going to be end for the human civilization. This is a major contributing factor as to why, our world has been progressing backwards. I must have somehow won the genetic lottery or something to be born to a family like this. Yeah, just, I tried to warn people about this, right? I did mention my mom, she's married again for the 7th time, and her husband, I'm not even sure how old he is now, because my mom is constantly lying to me about this kind of stuff. I believe that he's anywhere between, last time I said was 16, I think it's actually 18 to 20 years younger. And so my mom's current husband, so his younger brother is actually younger than my mom's daughter, than my older half sister. I know it sounds all absolutely insane. I warn everybody in my family. I try to work things out. I try to tell them. I said, please, for the love of God, I'm not against divorce, right? Once if you're divorced, if you're broken up, whatever, just stay single. But these Chinese women, people like my mom and my sister, they're so desperate to save their face, to save their ego. They have to tell people, look, I have a man. I got another ring on my finger, right? The reason why I'm divorced is all my ex's fault. None of it's my fault. My face has to stay this big all the time, and it's absolutely tearing them apart. And I can see it from my sister. Despite everything that has happened, right, despite all my warnings, despite all my fights in the past, I understand, because she grew up in very similar circumstances to me, right? She also grew up without a father, without a mother. So ever since her childhood, she has been completely broken physically and emotionally. There was no guidance. Nobody was there to help her. And after being back in China for over 3 months, even though I've only stayed with my sister and her family, right, her 2 kids and her current 3rd/4th/5th husband, once again, this could become a new meme, even though I've only seen them for maybe 2-3 weeks, right, because I have been traveling all over the country. So right after the Chinese New Year's holidays, right after celebrations are over, the reason why I haven't moved to other cities is because it's extremely difficult to buy a train or a flight ticket, because there are hundreds of millions of people traveling, very hard to find a seat anywhere. So once the rush is over, I'll be gone. So I'll only be seeing them for a few more days. But I'm just at the point where even though it is Chinese New Year's, it's time for celebrations, it's time for party, but I just absolutely cannot stand to see what's happening to my sister. The fact that she's being abused every single day, and I got to the point last night where it finally reached the boiling point. And to all of my audience who has been watching this video, I want to thank everybody that has stayed all the way until the end. Understand the video has been extremely long, but I'm being 100% honest in this video. I just have a couple of questions to ask you guys. If you guys were born in a similar circumstances to my family, I want you guys to share a bit about your experience. For this video, I will read every single comment. I expect maybe 100 to 200 comments. If this video performs really well, I can get maybe 3, 4, or even 500 comments. And I want you guys to tell me, why do you guys think the world has become this? How come in my grandmother's generation, right, every single family stayed intact? There was 0 divorces. How come starting the previous generation, starting from my mom and my dad's generation? Obviously, this is not the same case for everybody, but I would certainly say that roughly 50% of marriages and relationships are all like this now. Extremely abusive, extremely combative, just fighting, screaming, yelling, bitching at each other every single day. And the real victims will be the next generation. The kids are the ones who are going to be really suffering from all of this.